Welcome to another Gear Tester tabletop review. Today I'd like to talk about the Black Max HMK Kydex holster for the Ruger Mark III and 2245 family of pistols. I think this is a really nice little holster. Let's go over some of the dimensions here. It is 8 inches long, okay, and at its widest point it is about 4.5 inches wide. It's very lightweight. I don't have a scale right now. I've looked all over online, and even from the manufacturer there is not a weight listed for this little holster. The holster comes in two different configurations. This is the high ride holster version, and the way it's the same exact holster that actually holds the gun. It's just this panel here on the back that would change. This is the high ride holster, which means the holster rides higher up on your waist. The low ride holster has the same kind of paddle thing here. It's not really a paddle, but same kind of back plate here, but it's further up here so that the gun actually hangs down lower on your leg. I personally like the high ride version. It allows me to center my equipment higher on my waist, which keeps me a better center of balance in my view. It also keeps the weapon out of the grass, out of the different plant material if you're walking through tall grass or bushes and things. And I just like how it keeps my center of gravity better in line with what I prefer. The widest belt you could fit in this is about 2.5 inches long. So 2.5 inches wide would be the belt. So it would take a number of different belts. Using smaller belts, I haven't found that this moves around a tremendous amount. I'll talk about how it attaches to your belt in a little bit here. One of the things I like about this holster is that it is ambidextrous. You can take a regular screwdriver. You'd pull these two screws out, and the two pins you can pull there. You'd take the holster, flip it around, and you would attach it to this back plate. You would attach it reverse as it is. Flip that around, and you'd be able to use it left-handed. Right now, it is in its right-hand configuration as it comes when you purchase it. It takes just a couple minutes to do that. These two screws, although they do help retain the holster to this back panel, they are actually the screws that keep the amount of tension, and you will need to change that depending on whether you want a 2245 pistol or whether you want a Mark III pistol, because their trigger guards are a little bit differently shaped, so you need to tighten the screws or loosen the screws up depending on the gun that you're going to be putting in the holster. One of the excellent things about this holster is the fact that it is designed for you to have an optic on it. Many of the Ruger 2245 and Mark III pistols come drilled and tapped, as this one is right here, for a plate. And you can see I've never put mine on, but you would just put this on, and then it would allow you to put a red dot or another optic on it. Not all 2245s or Mark IIIs come drilled and tapped. The ones that I'm aware of are generally these bull-barreled versions. Now, you could have a gunsmith do it, but that would be quite expensive. I think it's better to just get it from the factory, get one of the ones that's already drilled and tapped with this little base ready to go. And one of the excellent things about this Black Max HMK holster is the fact that this holster would allow you to have an optic on there. Okay, and you would just insert it in, and that's why the holster is cut out right there. So it allows you to have an optic on your 22 pistol if you would like to do that. I really like the fact that this holster uses a 2-point belt attachment system. And some of you may not know what I mean, but what that means is I have two cuts here, and not just a loop like this leather holster that is for a Ruger Mark III. Okay? The fact that, and the reason I like the two loops is you can put this on your belt and make sure that there is a belt loop from your pants in there, and the holster will only slide about 1.5 inches to 1 inch if it's going to move at all. And what I found is if you use a thick leather belt, this holster does not rotate back and forth a lot. With a holster like this standard leather holster, when you put it on, you're not able to put a belt loop right there through the center, and what that means is from one belt loop to the next belt loop, this gun tends to ride and it pulls your belt down because it's just a single loop. Having that dual attachment system to your belt allows you a better disbursement of weight in the pistol. And that's important when it comes to a Ruger Mark III like this one here. It's got the 5.5-inch bull barrel. This weighs about 40 to 42 ounces depending on how you have it set up. So it's nice to have this double belt attachment system or mounting system because it disperses the weight. I also like the fact the way this back panel on the Black Max HMK holster, how it distributes the weight and how it presses against your side. It really does a good job of relieving weight even when you have a heavy pistol such as this bull-barreled stainless steel Mark III. Some of the issues that I have come across when I've been using this holster. One of the issues is the fact that if you're using a 2245 like this pistol here that you see has a pencil barrel on it, on loan to the TheGearTester YouTube channel, you're going to have to adjust the holster. If you've been using Mark IIIs such as this one, you're going to have to adjust the holster. You're going to have to loosen these screws because, as you can see here, the trigger guard on the 2245 is quite a bit wider than the trigger guard on the Mark III here. Okay, so what that means is you're going to have to adjust it. So you can't just put this holster and just smack one of these pistols in, pull it out, and then put the next one and expect the retention to be good, to be strong. You're going to have to either, if you've been using it for the 2245, you're going to have to tighten it down. If you've been using it for the Mark III, you're going to have to loosen it in order to fit the 2245 in. One of the cool things about this holster is the fact that it will accommodate both pistols, though. I mean, just doing a couple screws doesn't cost you any money. This is a holster for the for the Ruger Mark III. Okay, fit it in here. I'll show you the thumb snap. Okay, breaks easily enough. The problem is that if you take a 2245 and try and do that, the thumb strap, the thumb retention strap, you cannot get it closed. Okay, so you buy one holster, and if you happen to have both the 2245 and the Ruger Mark III, you would be able to use the same holster with some slight adjustments. One of the other things that is a little bit problematic with this holster is that it really appears to me to have been designed for an individual who wants to put an optic on it. And that is kind of the configuration of this holster. But what I mean by that is this. All the Ruger Mark IIIs and 2245s that are drilled and tapped for a scope have this bull barrel, at least the ones I know about. What that means is that this gun the way this holster works is that it really relies on that barrel. There is some rattle here if you were to put enough retention there because it's set for the 2245. I'm just going to squeeze it a little bit. Okay, there is still some rattle that occurs when this holster is set up for the Mark III with the bull barrel, but not nearly the same kind of rattling and movement as if you use one of the either of these, either the Mark III with the pencil barrel or the 2245 with the pencil barrel. Because this holster right now is set up for the 2245, I'll just show you guys what I mean. Put it in. The retention on this holster is very good. I have ran around, I've done push-ups, I've left over some barricades and things with the pistol, actually this heaviest pistol here, in this holster, and have never lost my gun at all. So the retention is good. The problem is when you put one of these pencil barrel guns in, you see the amount of movement I get there? You hear the sound? I find that very annoying. Even though I'm not losing my gun, it does kind of bother me. So that's one of the things that I don't particularly like about the Black Max HMK holster. Another thing that you're going to need to be aware of when you're using this holster is because this little shroud that protects your front barrel, front side on your barrel, and also causes the two pieces of the holster to be connected. Because it does not come all the way down, and you wouldn't want that if you're going to be using a scope, you need to be careful when you take the holster off and have a pistol in it. It's very easy to just grab it like so and pull it out. And what you do is that front sight gouges your hand. And I did that as I was working with this holster a couple months ago, and it took a full week for my hand to recover. It really dug in deep. So when you have the holster off of you and you're wanting to draw your pistol just to check whether it's loaded or something, you're going to need to grab down here and pull out. You can see the retention is very strong. The one thing about the retention is it uses the trigger guard, okay? And that's fine. I believe the Black Hawk Sherpa or Serpa holsters do the same thing, but they also have some friction up top. And because this holster is designed to use a Optic on, it doesn't have that retention up there at the top. And that's kind of the reason the gun wobbles back and forth. However, I think it retains the firearm really well. The rattle and the movement, though, this rattling and the movement do really bother me. One thing that I'd like to point out is it appears to me that these holsters, I said this previously, were really set up for the Ruger Mark III with the bull barrel. Okay, and that's because there's not as much rattle. The fact also is that when you put a 22-45 in this holster, I don't know if you can see this well on the camera, but it really kind of torques this side out. When you screw those screws in a little bit further, these two retention screws in, so that it retains the Mark III, I find that that doesn't happen, and that just kind of bothers me a little bit, that it kind of tweaks it out to the side. It doesn't cause the holster to be less effective, but you do have this side-to-side movement. So it really has been designed for a bull-barreled gun, either the Mark III or the 22-45, but I really think this holster was designed for the Mark III bull-barreled pistols. It works with the other pistols, but not as well, and that's just kind of my personal view on this holster. However, there are no other holsters like this holster, the Black Max HMK holster, on the market that you can buy, you can just order and have shipped to you. Nobody's making a custom Kydex holster that's easy to get your hands on for the Ruger Mark III. So this is really a product, it's made by Black Dog Magazine Company for actually tactical solutions. So if you call the number that's on the back of the sheet, you'll find that it takes you to Tactical Solutions, that Black Dog is manufacturing it for them. So Black Dog and Tactical Solutions really have no competition in this area. So they can make this holster as they feel that they want to, or as they see fit, and not really worry about it. I wish that Black Dog and Tactical Solutions would get together and they would make this holster in a number of different configurations. I like that they have the low ride and the high ride, but I wish that they'd make it particularly for the 22-45, make a version of it which was designed for the 22-45, and make two more versions of it which were particularly designed for the 22-45 with a pencil barrel. I really like this gun. Very lightweight at 26 ounces. That's amazing for these pistols. And also for the Mark III with the pencil barrel. If they would create some kind of retention here or back here, it would cause there to not be very little movement. And I would like to see less movement. I don't like having the rattling, and I don't like the movement on these pistols. I think it wears on the gun's finish, and I also think it just is annoying to have all that sound. But there is no other company making a holster like this for the Mark III or the 22-45. I like it. There are some things that I've mentioned that I would like changed about it, but overall I can live with it. It's a quality holster. You may be wondering how much does something like this cost. It's actually quite inexpensive. It's around $35. A holster like this one, made by, I believe, HMK leather for Ruger, runs something like $55, or this holster, they're basically the same holster made by HMK leather. Yeah, they are made by HMK. These holsters are going to run about $55 to $60. So for $15 less, you're getting a holster that has the Kydex. And let me speak a little bit more about Kydex. I love the fact that this is a one-hand operation holster. One hand in, okay, one hand out. It's very easy to operate that. There's no snaps or anything that I need to put the gun in and then do a strap or anything like that. That's why a Kydex holster is always my preference for a firearm, for a handgun, because it's a one-hand operation. If I'm needing to hold on to something, if I'm climbing, if I'm just simply doing something else with my hand, I don't have to bring my hand over and try and get a snap or something done. So Kydex with that retention is actually my preferred kind of holster for a handgun. Another thing is, you'll notice that the Black Max HMK holster covers the trigger guard. These leather holsters by HMK leather do not do that. Let me show you why that bothers me, not having the trigger guard covered. And a safety check. All these pistols have been safety checked, but just make sure right here before we do this. We are going to close it, okay? And then we're going to take the safety off and put it in our holster. So you could have just fired your Mark III, forgot to put the safety on, put it in, pull the trigger, and you would fire the firearm, detonating a round, and maybe sending it into a friend or to yourself. Let's do that one more time. Okay? That's why I really like the Black Max holster. There are not a lot of holster options for the Mark III or the 2245, okay? Which is actually quite funny to me, because these pistols are very popular, whether it's the Mark III like you see here, or the 2245 like this one here. But it appears that manufacturers have simply decided that most people shoot these pistols at the range and they don't carry them. However, I find myself carrying my Ruger Mark III or this 2245 quite a bit when I'm out hiking, backpacking, out in the back 40, walking around on the property, whether that's pest control or just doing some plinking. Having a quality holster like this Kydex holster, even though there are some things I don't really like about it, would be in my opinion, really preferable to some of the other leather options that are offered because of that non-covered trigger guard. Let me show you two leather holsters that I really like. This one is made by DeSantis, and this one is the Galco Fletch holster. Again, we have the two attachment points, so when we put it on our belt, it doesn't move a whole lot, and it also disperses that weight. I like this DeSantis holster because I'm able to wear it cross-draw, like this, and reach across with my right hand to my left hip and draw the firearm, or I'm able to do strong side. And I like that about this holster. And I think especially with the 22 holster, it'd be nice to see if you can make a Kydex version of a holster like this, which you could carry strong side and reach across and have. Simply because it's a 22, you might want to have a center fire pistol on your strong side. And because it would disperse the weight. I would like to see either a leather holster or a Kydex holster like this variety that would allow you multiple attachment options and allow you to spread the weight out, like either one of these two holsters, produced in leather by any number of companies. Galco with a DeSantis, they would produce excellent holsters. And I'd like to see those for the Ruger Mark III and the Ruger 2245. I'd also like to see Black Dog and Tactical Solutions produce, like I mentioned, some other varieties of this holster. They're, I think, 85% of the way. They just need to do a little bit of precision work and make this just a bomb-proof holster. If they raise the price by $5 or $8, that would be okay by me. If that meant that you got better retention, less rattle and movement. Guys, you can comment below. You can subscribe above. As always, thank you for your views and your subscriptions. This is the Gear Tester signing off.